Hey, welcome back. On today's episode, we're going to get the drift trike all assembled and ready to run. All right, so here is the donated bike. I've already found our first problem with it is the frame is aluminum here, so I got the magnet, it doesn't stick at all. Here is a piece of actual metal, so you see that what I wanted to do was chop off this piece and use the head tube, but that's not going to work. So I have this piece here that we can use for a head tube. If my measurements are correct, this will work. So let's take apart the bike and see if it'll fit. And to do that, we're going to start with these two. This is a threadless fork. So we'll take off the cap here, and then these two, it'll pull off the fork, and the fork will slide through the head tube. So let's do that. All right, we'll just set that down to the side. There's some spacers here. Get these off. Okay, so now we got the spacers off. We just take the headset apart. Now the fork should slide out like that. And so we'll just pop these, we'll take the bearing out, and we'll just pop these out, and then we'll measure the inside. All right, so here's the head tube. Let's use the calipers to measure the inside of the tube. So, got 1.3. 1.3, so they're the same. So just to confirm, we'll just take the headset here. So this part fits into the headset, and yeah, it fits right in there. So what we can do is we'll just use this tube, we'll weld this on to the trike, and we can just use the headset, the fork, the wheel and tire, the front disc brake, the handlebar and the stem, and we'll get rid of the gear shifters and the rear brake, and we'll just keep the front brake only, and that'll be it. Okay, so here it is assembled. Just wanted to make sure that everything was going to work before I welded this up to the frame of the drift trike. So I did pretty much what I just said. I took everything off, so the brakes work still for the front. Let's see here. Yep. Brakes work. The tube was a little bit different length, so I took out a couple of those spacers that were right there, and then it fits perfect now. So, well, just end up removing these shifters. The cables were all jacked up anyway, so I just cut them off, and it was garbage, so no need to save it. And yeah, so this will be our front of the drift trike. So we'll just lean it back a bit like this, and probably turn the handlebars around. Let's see. So we'll probably do it more like this. And that'll be it. All right, so it's time to mount the head tube. So we're just gonna mock this up a bit. So we're gonna stick with our 30, 60 degree theme here for the angle of the head tube. It's gonna be somewhere in there. So what I did was I drew a line of the angle which is there. So now I'm going to kind of mark the center, which is somewhere around there. And now to notch the tube, we're going to make another line from the end to the end there. So that's kind of how we're going to notch it. So we're going to take a notch out here and then here, a straight line, and that should give us the angle that we are looking for. So let's give that a shot. All right, this is kind of what it should look like. After I made those cuts that I drew out for you, I just took a flap wheel or a sanding wheel like this, and I kind of just rounded it out in there. And this way of notching seems to be way better than the hole saw. So there you go, almost perfect. So I'm just gonna leave it like that. Nice little rake on it. And then I can go ahead and tack it in and mount everything up to see what it looks like. And then if I like it, then we'll weld it completely in. So let's go. All right, so it's about that time to start assembling some things. I got all the major pieces here. So what I want to do next is loosely assemble the axle, and that way we can get the hangers welded up to the frame. And so I got my seat here. This is just a metal tractor seat. So I just went on eBay and just typed in metal tractor seat, and this one was $10. I think after shipping it was like $15 or something like that. So I got this as a kit. The axle, the wheels and tires, all the bearings, sprocket, the chain, clutch, the hangers, all a kit on eBay. So if you want to look for something like this, there's plenty of them online. You just type in go-kart axle kit and a million things will pop up. So I just have loosely assembled this one. See, it's not tight at all. And let's go ahead and put the axle shaft together. So we'll put this on. We'll put maybe just this and the bearings attached to the hangers. That way we can rest it up on our frame to make sure that everything is straight, and it'll actually spin when I weld it. And I want to have my seat kind of loosely in place too, to make sure that the sprocket's not going to cut into my back or anything crazy like that. And we still have enough room for the engine. It's going to be tight, but I think we can do it. So let's go ahead and get everything mounted, and we'll be right back. All right, now we can kind of see what it's going to look like. The only thing I'm kind of worried about now is how much room I'm going to have for the engine. And I think before I weld those hangers on, I want to get the engine and mock it up and at least see how much room I need for that before I start making things permanent. And when I'm sitting on this is mighty close. That thing's going to be spinning pretty fast, so I'm going to have to make some sort of protection from that. So let's go get the engine and get that mocked up and go from there. All right, so we've got the engine kind of sitting where I want to. What I did was I ended up hanging it off the back just a bit. I tacked the motor mount in place. Is just an 1/8" sheet of steel. It's 8 inches wide and about 9 inches long. I probably didn't even need 9 inches, but I wanted to give it some extra room so I could notch out the holes, like oblonged them so I can slide it back and forth. And I slid the axle back just a hair to give me just a little bit more room where the seat's gonna go. And that way I can build a wall and then have a cover for the sprocket, a chain guard. Because I don't want to have kidney surgery today, and I want to keep myself safe and whoever's riding this from slicing their back open. So that gave me, a couple extra inches. Now I can build a nice wall and a chain guard. And now I'm going to go ahead and tack. This spins good now, so I'm going to tack these into place. I got the engine mount tacked into place. And then I'll get everything fully welded up, and we can fully assemble everything after that, and we'll go over that whole process. All right, so I started working and kind of forgot to film because I was making some good progress. So I just wanted to give you an update where I'm at. So I got the pegs done. Probably gonna need to put a brace on them because they feel kind of wobbly, even after, they need a brace, so I'm going to put a brace on them. I got the engine mount done and the holes drilled. Basically, I just set the engine on there where I want it to go, and I put a bolt through the holes with some grease on the end. And then I lifted the engine off, and wherever the grease was, that's where I drilled the holes. And then I drilled another one in front of it, and then kind of wobbled it out so they're oblong, so I can move the engine back and forth to tighten the chain. And then, of course, I got the axle hangers welded up. And so next, I still got to mount the seat. I got to figure out something with the chain guard. But I can at least go get some hardware now and start putting the engine and the axle on permanently. But I need to go to the hardware store and get some bolts that match and fit properly. So that'll probably be next, and we'll get back after that. Okay, so this is pretty much the complete axle setup. Now, if I did something wrong here, let me know. But so you got your hub here that your wheel will go on. There's a snap ring to keep it from coming off, and then it locks down here. Here we have a bearing that's sandwiched in between two plates and also bolted into the hangers. The bearing also has these little lock nuts right here, so we can lock them down, and then a lock collar to keep the axle from sliding back and forth. Another lock collar, our sprocket, another lock collar, another lock collar to lock the other side so the axle doesn't move back and forth. Basically the same thing on this side, hub, and then another snap ring. So that's how I set it up. If I did something wrong, let me know. I've never done this before, so I think that's right. So now I'm going to put the engine on, mount it down, and then we can start putting the chain on, and maybe we can crank it up and see if it'll move. All right, so let's put the clutch on. This is pretty easy to do. This particular clutch doesn't have a set screw on the back, and I think the idea is it'll just kind of float around on the shaft to make sure it's lined up with the sprocket. But this one already has a keyway already kind of integrated in there. It's like machined in there. So we'll just line that up and just push it on. And then we have our bolt here. So let's just put some blue Loctite on it. Just kind of Got some washers just to keep it on. Tighten it down, and now that's not going to go anywhere. And that's it. All right, so what I did was I went ahead and mounted the seat so I know how much room I have here for the chain guard. And I just loosely mounted that, so I just welded some leftover, I think that's like 18 gauge, or it's 1/8 inch sheet steel. And now I know kind of how much room I have. And so I have this leftover bed frame. It's like one of those fold-up bed frames. And I'm not going to use the whole thing, but I'm just going to use like a center section, cut a piece out right here. That way I can bolt some sheet metal to it, and I'm just going to kind of form it over top. Obviously, I'm not going to use this whole sheet. I'm just going to cut some out. And that way I can have it removable, and I'll probably do maybe both sides. That way I can remove it whenever I want to. I don't know how I'm going to mount the other side yet, but we'll figure it out. So that's kind of my plan right now. So probably just use this tire maybe to form it. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure it out. So that's what I'm going to get started on now. I'm going to cut out a section of this, and then cut out a section of this, and then I'll show you the end product. All right, this is kind of what I got right now. So this is, I think I said 22 gauge steel. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of tack weld this. We'll wrap it around there, and then right here, I'm gonna bolt it to this, and then this will kind of stand up straight here. I might cut this in half probably, and then have another one over here somewhere so it won't shake around and flop all over the place, but that should be pretty sturdy like that. So that's kind of the idea. That way the rider's protected here, and I may even do some sort of a backrest. I don't know, we'll see. But that's kind of the idea. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get that tacked up and mounted, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so here's what I came up with. Got everything tack welded. So basically it's just going to go here like this. I still need to like trim some pieces out to make it work, but that's kind of what it's going to look like right there. A couple more modifications, we'll get it bolted up. All right, moving on to the throttle. So basically I took the air intake off. It's just two 10mm bolts right here, and then a hose. This hose right here. And so when you first buy this Predator engine, the throttle, like you can adjust it like this and it'll stay wherever you put it, but that's not what you want for like a go-kart or a drift trike. You want it to snap back like this. So first thing you got to do is just take this bolt off right here, or nut, excuse me, and underneath there you'll find this washer. It's kind of like concave. You'll tell it's curved, but that's what keeps it in place from snapping back. So you want to take that off first. Then also I added this spring so it snaps back faster, because the only spring that's there is this one. Well, there's a few springs on there, but it's not enough. So you need something more. So the spring that I used, let's see. That's the spring that I used. So go to Lowe's or Home Depot and get one like that. I just connected it to these two. Just take the screws out and put it underneath and lock it back down. And now it snaps back nice. All right, so now we're gonna take this grip off so we can remove the shifter, and then also we can set up the throttle onto the brake, just temporarily until we get a twist throttle. But if you've never taken one of these handles off, the best way to do it is you take a small Allen key, kind of jam it in there, right there. And then you take some isopropyl alcohol, just kind of dump it in there. Now, look at that. Comes right off. Tip of the day. So, let's take these things off because I already loosened them. And I'm going to set up the throttle and see if we can get this thing to go. All right, so I got a temporary throttle cable on there right now. This is a 72-inch cable, and it's way too short. Like if you copy some of my dimensions, you need probably 100 inches. It just barely fits. I don't even know if I can't even turn that direction with how tight it is. This way is the only way it's gonna go. So, and I got a twist throttle from a friend. But yeah, I'm gonna have to get a different throttle cable for sure. So I just kind of routed it underneath, and then you can see that it just goes right there to that bolt, and that bolt locks it down. But it works. Let's start it up. So I think that's where we're going to end for now. And the next video, we'll clean everything up, get it painted, fix the throttle, tie up the rest of the loose ends, and take it for a rip. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.